Finally, we've been playing this podcast for so long, and it's finally coming together, I think.
We hope.
Yeah, we're here.
Here we are.
We have a fancy microphone and headphones.
And coffee.
Cheers. You're way too far away to be doing.
That's all right.
Cheers.
Yeah, for our pilot episode of our Holy Roast podcast.
Holy Roast.
We're pumped.
Where do we come up with that name?
That's a good question.
Yeah. We were searching for names for quite a while.
It was a journey.
And most of them were pretty awful.
Yes.
But then I asked my friend, GPT.
I can't say it. I can never say it right.
My friend, I know, I always stutter across it. and they'll probably will. We asked them for some suggestions, like any aging millennial would. And that's what we came up with. Yeah. Most of them were pretty bad. But that one I feel like has some potential.
I really liked the one it came up with of preach, pray, persist.
It's a lot of P's.
But it's a lot of P's and it's dorky. But hey.
Could add to it as a subtitle.
Yeah.
We could be convinced. If people could convince us of it, potentially could be there.
Subtitle.
I try to use the P word, potentially.
Yeah.
But anyways, Holy Roast. So Holy Roast is what we're going to do. We are both from the Ministerial Services operational team, which sounds way more professional and way more important than it is.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So I feel like we should have said our names already.
Yeah. What's your name?
We should start over. We should just cut all that out.
Yeah. Well, what's your name and where are you from?
We're going to cut all this out. No, that's going to be
Keep going.
Okay. Well, I'm Rachel Wallace. I am currently the pastor at Revolution Church here in Louisville, serving on the ministerial operational teams here with my buddy Rob. I've really been on the board for several years now, but just in my second year, I think, on the operational team. And excited to be here to see this idea kind of come to fruition.
Yeah, so it's called Holy Roast. So what's your favorite coffee? Do you have a favorite in the area? Do you have a favorite brewing method? Do you have a favorite bean?
Yeah, you think I'm cooler than I am, for sure. No favorite brewing method, but I do love myself some Heine Brothers.
There you go.
That's my favorite. And it's actually kind of become a second office for me, partly because I don't really have an office right now. I'll work from home, but I really enjoy working from Heine Brothers.
Yeah, so Heine Bros, if you want to sponsor this podcast, let's know.
Let's go. Yeah, local chain here in Louisville. I have all my meetings. I just pick the closest Heine Brothers to whoever I'm meeting, and that's where we go.
That's perfect.
What about you?
And you're from Louisville, right?
I am. Yeah.
So it's home stomping grounds.
Yeah, I am. It's good to be home. Been back for a little over 4 years now. Hard to believe.
Yeah. So I'm Rob, and I am the lead pastor at Watkins United Methodist Church, which is also located here in Louisville, Kentucky, in the eastern part of it, and love it. I've been there since 2020, and so I came in during the pandemic, and what a weird time to transition as a pastor. But anyway, so it was a fantastic time already there serving the last couple of years. Also serve on the Ministerial Services operational team. I've been on it 2 months. At this point of recording, I think about 2 months, and I've been on the board for I think a year at this point. So just created that year-long journey with the Board of Ordained Ministry, and love it. It's been one of the coolest things that when you're on the other side, one of the things that you wish you could be a part of, and not see how the sausage is made, perhaps, but to be a part of that process of mentoring and really forming people in their calls to ordained ministry. And I really enjoyed that part. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for those of us who are ordained, we all went through it.
That's right.
And we all have our particular experience on that side of it. But to be then on the other side of kind of like trying to capture the ideals of what it means to really, what do we say? Discover, develop, and send the Passional Spirit leaders, right? We're really trying to do that work of like developing and equipping and encouraging not just our ordinands, but like clergy.
Yeah.
And that's a big job. And I think that's the part that's excited me more about being on the operational team, is that we get to zoom out a bit and see our larger process of like, let's get a pulse on how our clergy are doing.
Sure. And that's really the birth of this podcast, is to address that, right? Yeah. So what is the pulse? Let's take a look at our mental, spiritual, physical health as a part of this. And one of the things that we were talking about in forming this podcast, and we're trying to create a name, is you had a really good subtitle of what it can be about Monday mornings. What was that subtitle?
Yeah, there was a couple different versions of it, but it was basically I was trying to capture this, like the encouragement that pastors need on a Monday morning so they don't quit.
Yeah.
Like you think about after a Sunday, I've been taking Mondays off because it's like the only day of the week I let my head just shut off.
That's a great idea.
Because Sunday's always coming, right? Man, it's always coming.
Yeah.
There's always stuff to do, but on Mondays I'll let myself like breathe and unclench just a little bit. I'm working on it. And so what is that encouragement that I need on a Monday morning to keep going? What is that, and really just, it came out of this desire and this passion to like, man, here we are, 2 local pastors in the trenches of local church ministry. And we know the last couple of years have been hard.
Yeah.
That's not news. We've been talking about that a lot and talking about it, but what are we going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And so here we are, just like 2 pastors in the trenches wanting to have just a cup of coffee and encourage each other, right? To just let's talk about some things to just remind ourselves, but also extend it now to kind of our clergy friends that we're not alone, that we're facing lots of these challenges too, and that there's kind of, I really do think there can be a way through a lot of this when we do it together, kind of thing.
That's right. So this is kind of good sacred, I would call it a sacred moment that we can have together, and hope people will engage with those moments as well. Because it can feel like you're alone a lot of the times. I mean, you can get into your same rhythms and you can get into your own local church. And when you're ordained, you don't have to go through residency and things like that through the Board of Order Ministry. You're kind of just out there. Yeah. And it can feel a little bit alone. And I hope this is, the dream of this is say, hey, we're here with you, and how can we inspire and equip? Sure. But how can we just be with? I think is so important.
Yeah. Well, and how many times have we met up for coffee because we're both here in Louisville just to vent or complain or talk through something or just, and so let's extend that table. Yeah. Let's sit down and have coffee. But we also recognize that there are colleagues that serve in this, connection in this state that can't just meet up whenever because you live 15 minutes away from your clergy friend, right? So let's extend the conversation. Let's extend the table and just a holy roast. A holy roast. Have some warm conversation with some good coffee.
Hey, I got a funny story about my favorite coffee. You ready?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So my favorite coffee is I'm a coffee nerd and I love it.
When I was a snob,
I wouldn't call myself a snob, but I love it. And that was part of the things during residency. People make fun of me because I was that person who would bring their own coffee with them. Like I don't drink camp coffee. I really need to get away from church coffee because it's just not good for your body. So I would bring my own contraptions. Well, that's connected to who I am. So I remember Molly is my wife. Molly is a ordained Baptist pastor here in Louisville. So we have an interesting relationship and fight a lot weird things that typical couples probably don't talk about. But anyways, that's a weird side note there.
It's another episode.
We'll get her on.
Clergy spouses.
Oh gosh. Can you
but
imagine?
Also clergy.
We should just have Matt and Molly.
Oh my gosh, this could be our guest one. My husband is a really great pastor's wife.
Yeah.
He's really good. Okay, sorry.
I strive to be a pastor's wife like Matt is.
Yeah.
It's a good goal. Anyways, so when we were getting married, we could, have a registry. And part of the registry, you put all those stereotypical things from plates and cups and sheets and things like that. And Molly let me have one thing at each store that I could put on there. No judgment. So like we have like a cookie jar that's shaped like a dog. We have like a parrot, statue. But one of the things I registered for all the coffee contraptions you can think of. So the French press, the AeroPress, the espresso machine, all those sorts of things, and percolators. And because no one's going to buy it, but I'm going to register it for anyways because she gave me permission to do so. So day of our wedding comes and we look through all of that, afterwards, and we got every coffee contraption I registered for, but we did not get one towel for our wedding. And Molly,
like a bath towel?
Yeah, no bath towels. We don't have any of those at the Tucker household. Sorry, we just have coffee.
We just have really good coffee.
That's all you need. But anyways, so I love coffee, and so I love the idea for us in coffee making and kind of that holy roast is that it's a process, right? And it's a process and a journey, and to me brings familiarity and comfortability as a part of that. Because when we meet up at a coffee shop in Louisville, that's a comfortable, safe space for me.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the process of roasting or making coffee. I just can appreciate a good cup. And I also have family members that drink Folgers, and it's hard.
Yeah, that's Maxwell House on my side of the family.
Yeah. I don't participate then, but...
Sorry, Sandro. That's my mother's name.
Yeah. Okay. But just kind of that idea of just enjoying good conversation, good coffee, and encouragement for the journey. Because we know this isn't like coming down from the top. Yeah. Oh, it's been hard. Pat on the back as you're still in the trench. No, like we're in this with y'all and together every day, preaching every Sunday. Sunday's always coming, and also just looking for some friendship and some encouragement along the way. So.
Yeah, I love that. So that's good expectations of what people come to find. I do hope our aim and goal of this so far, and this is just a pilot, so this is an experiment.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to try some things, and some things are really going to work, and some things are going to go, as a part of this, and that's okay. But what we want this to be is beneficial for that local church pastor, to be beneficial for that church leader, particularly in Kentucky. But if other friends from around join in on the conversation, I'd love that too. But what we really want to focus on is Kentucky pastors and lay folks who are leading churches to kind of have that safe, comfortable conversation with. And our hopes right now is that would be about twice a month, and we'll have some other ways to engage through other forms of social media. But part of that is we hope you'll tune in, and this will be beneficial for you. Whether you are sitting in your office wondering on Monday morning, oh, what just happened?
What else could I be doing with my life right now?
That's right. I'm tired of reading books. Anyways, I'm not anti-book. Let's put that out there. But I just need to be with someone during this moment. Hopefully this can be a platform in which that really happens. And then it becomes a conversational dialogue between two friends. And we'll have other people. So we've already interviewed Amy Oden as a part of that, Margaret Markinson. And then we're going to interview some other folks throughout our connection throughout the state of Kentucky. Some pastors, perhaps some staff, some people doing some really neat nonprofit ministry. I mean, ministry that could look at a plethora of different ways. And I hope in each one of those connection points that we make, whether it's an expert in the field or somebody who's actually in the field, there's a difference between those two, that can be a conversation for folks to engage in. And we want that. We want to invite engagement, dialogue. We're not two talking heads. We're two local pastors who don't know what we are doing. No. And so please help.
We're just trying to make a way here. Yeah. And that's where, I just totally lost my train of thought of what were you saying before?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, well.
We'll get back there. But I think it's that engagement with both experts and people who are actually doing the hard work of ministry to say we're with you. Because we see all of these documentation, we see all these articles floating around of how hard ministry is, right? And how many of you think about our times, we both went to Duke Divinity School, the best seminary in the world, best basketball team in the world
too.
Boo.
No, not that, just Duke Divinity School. I have to say it all together. I'm not allowed to say Duke University.
Oh, I went
to Duke Divinity School.
When you go to Duke Divinity, there's Duke Div, and then there's also Big Duke, right? Big Duke equals the rest of the university, and that includes a winning football team this season, which is incredible. And number 2 ranked preseason poll for basketball, if you're wondering.
Oh, wow. No,
where UK is? UK is not in that ranking.
Oh, interesting. Well, there's a fun fact.
Fun fact for our listeners. But as a part of that, I think we can engage with people that come from those different places, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's nonprofits or and I would love to maybe talk to a seminarian and ask them, hey, what does life look like at this point? And what is actually bringing you life?
What is giving you hope for the future?
Because it cannot be this huge uncertainty, right? In the many things that have happened in the last couple of years, but why are you still doing this? Help us, because I think that can be so enlivening to our own stories on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, say, hey, people are still being called to ministry. People are still wanting to become a local church pastor. And I think that's something to look into, the reasons why.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be great, even to check in with some of our seminarians. And that's what, kind of what we talked about, trying to get a pulse on how our clergy are doing. So that's our target. That's our focus, is our Kentucky colleagues. And if it extends to kind of lay leaders that are taking on that responsibility in the local church, that's great, because we're here saying we love the church. We love Jesus, and we care about his church, and we know that things haven't been great, and yet here we are too, kind of early, so to speak, in our careers, wanting to kind of stay with this and have that hope for the future of what's this going to look like. The world is changing. The way we do church is changing. There's so much uncertainty, and we don't have as many maybe mentors that we can look to say, we've been here before, because they haven't.
Right.
None of us have been. And so that's what I'm really excited about. Some of the guests that we're planning to bring on is that I hope that this format makes it feel like accessible, you know, that these like kind of like giants almost, you know, some, maybe not all, but some people that I might be nervous to interview, like sitting down in this setting with a good cup of coffee, it can just be conversational, and their expertise then becomes like so much more applicable or so much more encouraging. Like, hey, I can do this. This is possible. You know, we don't have to, you know, kind of that even that process is giving me hope for the future. Right. Of saying that, you know, the best is still yet to come, kind of thing.
Yeah. The best still. Gosh, what a fun season we're in. What a fun season. And I do hope that this brings you hope. What other dreams do you have, Rachel, for the podcast as you've processed this? And, you know, as we even had this idea around the ministerial services operational team of what we could do and what can actually add value to people's life. What we don't want is another thing that's thrown out there of more information that you may or may not want. And another thing that, hey, I better make sure I check this off every week. What we don't want is that. What would you say is a dream then you have when you said, yes, I would love to co-host this. Here's why.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to add to the noise and the information overload and another thing to listen to, because it's like, there's so much. We're just inundated with it. And that's why it's like, we're not trying to go viral, make it big, be huge. We just want to encourage our colleagues in Kentucky. So I think my dream would just be that, you know, we'll keep these episodes short-ish. So it's like on that commute or on that Monday morning, you can just pour yourself a cup of coffee with us and take a deep breath. And I think if it even just like encourages one of our colleagues or friends to keep going or to reach out for help or to try something new, or if it gives them even hope in that day when they listen, even just to that one episode, like for me, that would be worth it. You know, if it can help us feel a little bit more connected in this weird world we're living in, or a little bit more, you know, helping rebuild some of this trust and collegial spirit, and just, hey, we're here for you too. Even though we're in our own little pocket, like we're in this together. I think if like that encourages one person, for me, that'd be
great.
Yeah.
I love that. I also hope it helps to embrace our humanity. That's kind of a weird phrase, but that I think with other people who may join us, who may not be our colleagues in ministry, but maybe a local church leader or somebody that just popped up on their page and like, why in the world do I want to listen to these two strangers in Louisville, Kentucky? That I think would help them change their view of what a pastor is like, and bring some humanity to it, that we're not, and I'm to speak for myself, I'm not holy and pious as much as maybe some people may think of local church pastors, right? I think that we can, anybody knows me, who knows that's not true at all, but would say, hey, I can identify with that person, and I may not have done that with a religious person before, but I think there's some hope in that to say, hey, this is what pastoral ministry does look like. You know, the kind of the funny thing that people always say is like, what do you do? Like, all you do is come and preach on a Sunday morning, and that's all you do, right? That's your total job. But no, there's some other things that happen along the way, like making good coffee. But you know, that happens. That's what ministry looks like. And I think people have this weird depiction, if they're not looking at these kind of mega church pastors, right, as one depiction of what ministry looks like. And then they're always making kind of the bad global news of what a pastor looks like. But here is what two normal local church pastors look like. And here are some of the friends that they'll bring on. And hopefully that will provide a little humanity to it, but also a little hope in the local church, to say that there is good that we can put out in the world. Hey, there is, I think the local church is the place where change can happen and transformation can happen in every local community. community, we have to get back to telling those kinds of stories and how it is transforming communities.
Absolutely.
That hasn't stopped. Although the other news have taken over, the transformation happening on the ground has not stopped. So we need to kind of get back to telling those good kind of stories. And some of those are deeply human and deeply smelly and deeply outrageous at times and sometimes vulgar. And I think all of that is what ministry is, and that's okay.
Yeah, we see it all. We see it all. And I think the majority of clergy are more like us than they are the celebrities that make the news or make the big book deal or then have the fall from grace or whatever. Right. And like, so to just sort of say, this is what it means to be called to this, work of like, we are still human and like we have doubts and frustrations and fears. And I've already learned that our good buddy here, Matt, can bleep things out if we need him to, right? Like if things get a little bit, no, I'm just kidding.
A little hairy.
Oh, Rob.
Sorry, Mom.
But just of this is what this work looks like, but also of like before all of that, like we are disciples of Jesus Christ.
Sure.
Like, we are human.
We're just following in the way.
Yeah.
I don't think Jesus had a podcast, but maybe if he was born in 2023, he'd have a podcast. I'd listen.
I would listen to that. Yeah. It would be probably really confusing teachings that people would argue about for thousands of years.
That's right.
The comment section on that would be amazing.
You avoid it at all costs.
Avoid it.
At all costs.
Well, at the end of each one of our episodes, we are going to end with what we're calling kind of the Holy Roast Hot Seat. Now, I have to admit, I've kind of stolen this idea from Brene Brown, my patron saint of vulnerability, who I adore. And at the end of some of her episodes, she would rapid fire questions to her guest, kind of humanizing them.
That's right.
Kind of making them every day, just like us. And so it's going to be a series of the same 4 or 5 questions. And so Rob and I thought it would be cool to end our pilot episode by just kind of volleying back and forth these rapid fire. Don't think about it. Just share it.
What comes on your mind, right? Yeah. So what are you reading right now, Rachel?
First question, what am I reading right now? Okay, I just finished a great book called The Measure.
What is that?
Oh, man, I don't remember the author's name, but everybody should read it. It's this fascinating story about how one day in the world, a string shows up on your front door with a name engraved on the box, and that string basically says the exact length that your life will be. And every person has to decide what they're going to do with this box. Do you look? Do you not? Do you want to look? What happens if? And it's just a fascinating, as a pastor type spiritual person, of like how we talk about death and dying and life and even, the will and destiny, whatever, is so good.
Would you look?
I don't think so. I think it's best not to know.
Yeah.
But
same.
I think I would give into peer pressure and look after a few months. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like the person who doesn't I hate spoiler alerts. Like I'll record basketball games and avoid my phone so I don't look at it. Right. Because I don't know how it's going to end. Right.
Well, you should check out The Measure. It's really good. Okay. Second question, Rob, what's keeping you alive right now?
Yeah. My son Cooper has a tricycle. And it is the best thing in the world. I mean, my son Cooper is a little over 2 years old, and he has that stereotypical red tricycle that has the pushing thing behind it. So he thinks he's pedaling, but he's not really pedaling. And it is Halloween season in Louisville right now, and we make our way around the neighborhood, and he says "boo" to all the ghosts and he to all the witches, and it is my favorite thing in the world.
Wow, that's
just to watch him come alive, and he thinks he's pedaling that thing, and he has a little bell, and he rings all the bell. I'm sure it's making all of our Ring doorbells in our neighborhood go nuts because he goes right up to it. Right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And makes noises.
Well, how amazing is it that you made such a cool, cute kid,
I know.
Wow, what a miracle.
Thank God for my wife. What are 5 things on your nightstand?
Oh, man, my phone, my book, my water, drugs. Just kidding. My medicine, my allergy medicine I have to take at night.
So we're going to have to bleep that one out. Now we won't.
What?
Good.
That's probably just 4, but yeah, a lamp.
Lamp.
Yeah.
Do you have a cool lamp?
No.
Lamp.
Matt has the cool lamp. That's too bright. What's your favorite thing to do? What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Yeah, we have I built this fire pit in our backyard. So our whole backyard has been redone. We built a detached garage and stuff, but I tilled the land. I'm not a handy person whatsoever, but I tilled it and built a little rock sanctuary with, that sounds too fancy. I just dumped a bunch of rocks in a circle and then built this fire pit. And that is my favorite times. Go out there, light a fire, man, do some s'mores with the fam.
Yeah.
And that is, you can't get any better for me.
Do you do that often?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's a great routine. Yeah. And even when it's hot, I go out there and I'll be a sweaty mess, but you know what? It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Last question, Rachel. You're called up to bat. What is your walk-up song?
Oh, man. You know it. It's Ready For It by Taylor Swift.
Ooh. Can you sing us a little bit?
Oh, sure. It starts by saying, are you ready for it? Boom, boom, boom. And she starts it. Oh, it's so good. It's such pump up. It was actually the first song that began my labor play mix. You
got to have that.
You do. Yeah. It was, are you ready for it? Girl, you got to get in the game. You're about to birth this baby.
Yeah.
So that would be it. Walking up to preach, walking up to bat. Are you ready for it?
Plug goes in. And just another Swiftie here.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. I have a whole sermon series
on Taylor
12
Swift?
weeks. The gospel according to Taylor Swift.
Oh my gosh. We could share that.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor Swift, if you want to get some advertisements on the Holy Roast podcast, let us know.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Travis Kelce has a podcast. He shot his shot, didn't he? Shoot your shot, man.
It's a really good podcast. Do you listen to it?
Now, because of Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift put him on the map.
Yeah. What about you? What's your walk-up song?
So mine would be, this is going to be no surprise. And this is what my wife and I walked into our reception to. Are you ready? And this is something that we got from the Duke basketball team.
Oh, gosh.
All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. All I do is win, no matter what. Yeah, that would be my walk-in.
All right.
Get pumped up. I'm ready to go. And I really do think, you have like hymns of preparation when it comes to our services. I think we need to have walk-up songs of preparation. That
For
comes
preaching.
That preach, yeah.
Does it have to be a hymn?
No.
Okay, good.
It's DJ Khaled.
we don't sing hymns at Revolution. Oh, I love it.
Are you allowed to do that? Well, this has been so much fun.
So fun.
I'm looking forward to our weeks to come, our months to come, as we dive and experiment and roast each other and enjoy some good roasts here and have some really great guests.
Are you ready for it? Oh, man. I like that music. I think it's fun.
That's nice.
Oh, man. Stressful.
It's hard when you're like...
We got there.
You're trying... It's like preaching, though. Like, you're trying to be present in the conversation, but also knowing...